there's a fight between Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allen.
Years of trying, 20 years of frustration. Dale Earnhardt will come to the caution flag to win the Daytona 500.
They touch! Kramer, even you! 1,000ths of a second he beat Boyer.
Okay, a 60 checkered flag waving, it's over, it's Earnhardt.
Hello NASCAR Nation, welcome back to NASCAR Nation, this time on YouTrue Sports. Yes, we have moved platforms. We moved over from 107.7 The Bronx, and our new home is now YouTrue Sports. We're going to have a lot of awesome content here for you, and we'll go over that in a minute. Today, you're going to be listening to a 2019 season preview podcast for the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. We're going to go through all the drivers, the track schedule, the race schedule, and see maybe if we can pull any predictions from the hat this year. So, before we get into that, we're going to talk about, obviously, as I mentioned before, you're now listening on YouTrue Sports. YouTrue Sports is a sports network that is on YouTube. That's how you're listening, obviously, right now. And so we'll have it across the board. And aside from the traditional podcast that we've always done, or was a radio show, podcast now, but aside from the traditional podcast, what we're going to be doing is we're also going to be having some video game content, some really cool NASCAR merchandise reviews. You'll get to see a lot more. And that's the goal, is to kind of expand and truly make NASCAR Nation into a nation by expanding and hopefully reaching out to new folks. And if you are new, if this is your first time listening, then hello there. I'm your host, Joe Passero. I've been doing this for quite a while, a little bit over a year, but I've been doing it at a local radio station. I decided that I wasn't reaching enough people. On top of that, my friends and I, we established that we were going to do a sports network, and here we are on YouTrue Sports. We moved NASCAR Nation over here, and that's how we got here. But so we're going to just go right into this, because this is going to be a rather long episode. We are going to be talking about all the stars of the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. I believe I've got 31 or 32 over here written out that we're going to be going through together. And then, of course, the schedule. We're going to be going through some of the news headlines. A lot of good stuff today, so stick around. Make sure you listen to all of it. And if you like this, be sure to like this video. Subscribe to our channel. We're going to have more than just NASCAR. We're going to have a lot of great content from the NFL, the MLB, NBA. So if you're not a NASCAR fan, you just came across this, still make sure you hit that subscribe button. I said like already, you can follow me on Twitter at Passero Jr. That's Passerojr. You can follow the show, NASCAR Nation YTS. That's at NASCAR Nation YTS on Twitter as well. YTS short for YouTrue Sports. So let's get into this. We're going to start with the number one Chevrolet, formerly driven by Jamie McMurray. In 2019, Chip Ganassi Racing welcomes Kurt Busch and Monster Energy to the Team Chevy camp. Kurt Busch will be driving the number one Monster Energy Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 for Chip Ganassi Racing in 2019. He's moving from Stewart-Haas Racing's number 41 Ford. Monster Energy was also moving from Stewart-Haas Racing. They've been sponsoring Kurt Busch for the past few seasons. They move with Kurt Busch to the number one, replacing Jamie McMurray in the number one. So looking back at 2018, Kurt Busch really didn't have a bad season. He was consistent. He made the final 8 when it came down to the playoffs. And he did very good at Phoenix. He had a real legitimate shot of moving through to Homestead, Miami as a championship competitor. And the season overall, they ran consistently. Only closed out the deal one time, one win. That came at Bristol in August. But nevertheless, it was a good season. I think he proved that he definitely still has the driving ability, and he still wants to drive. And so I'm glad. I think he'll be in good equipment here. Maybe not as good as Stewart-Haas Racing. Obviously, the new rules package this year, which we'll talk about later, is going to switch some stuff up, quite a bit of stuff. So it's it's hard to judge how he's going to run in 2019 compared to 2018 and Stewart-Haas, where the rules packages are very different. They're tailored to two completely different things. So really what he does need to do in 2019, just rival Kyle Larson's performance. Kyle Larson's going to stay in the number 42, and we'll talk about him later, and he'll be teammate to Kurt Busch. Obviously, we know that Kyle Larson over the past few seasons has been outrunning Jamie McMurray when they've been teammates. Really, I think for Ganassi to keep Kurt Busch around, he just needs to see that Kurt Busch can run similarly to Kyle Larson. I truly believe he can. He, like I said, the last 2 seasons, he's run very consistently. He's gone pretty far in the playoffs, but he's had trouble closing the deal on race wins. If he could get a race win, that would be really, really good. But, you don't want to just say, okay, I'm with a new team, I'm going to win this year. Obviously, that's an ideal situation. However, with so much being unknown about this new rules package, I think just to be safe, just match Kyle Larson's performance. If he can win, though, you should also be able to win. Now, obviously, being a competitor, don't wait for him to win before you win. If you have an opportunity, go out there and show your stuff. But, the conservative strategy, I think, just rival Kyle Larson. Rival your teammate. Show that you are at the same level as him. And also, obviously, work together. Learn this new rules package. That's something I'm going to say about probably every team today. But just work together, learn the new rule package, rival Kyle Larson. That's what Kurt Busch needs to do in the 2019 season. We're going to move in numerical order. So up next, Brad Keselowski in the number 2 discount tire Miller Lite Ford Mustang at Team Penske. That's right. You heard me right. Ford Mustang. Ford is getting rid of the Fusion in NASCAR and is going to the Mustang in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. This will rival the Camaro ZL1, which Chevrolet ran in the last season, in 2018, and will continue to run in 2019. Now, there's no major change for that 2 team this year. Paul Wolf, Brad Keselowski, all the crew guys, as far as I'm aware, are staying with that team. So not a whole lot to dive into there. In 2018, Brad Keselowski had 3 wins, 3 in a row. That was Darlington, Indianapolis, and the playoff opener at Las Vegas. He ran really well in all 3 of those races, and really I was expecting him to make it much farther in the playoffs than he did. Bad second round, was eliminated. He ran a really good third round. He probably could have made the Final 4 again. Had some circumstances panned out better, obviously, if he hadn't been eliminated. But nevertheless, the start to the season for that team was slow. I think a lot of people were expecting him to win the Daytona 500. He's never won a Daytona 500 before, but he's so good at those restrictor plate tracks of Daytona and Talladega. I believe he's got 5 Talladega wins. He's got a win at Daytona, and that win at Daytona, by the way, was an absolutely dominant one. That, I believe, was back in 2016. But, I think the season for Team Penske was a little bit more disappointing. Aside from, obviously, the 22. They had a good season. Maybe not as good as they were hoping, but nevertheless, you can't get too selfish when you've won a championship. However, that was his teammate in the 22. That was Joey Logano. That was not Brad Keselowski. So what does Keselowski need to do to get it to his teammate's level? Well, obviously, they both have the winning capability. They both won 3 races, and, I mean, from that point, it's really just about being consistent. If Brad Keselowski can be more consistent throughout the regular season, accumulate some more playoff points, he'll go and set himself up real pretty for the playoffs, and then just be more consistent in that second round. He was good through the first round, was good through the third round, really. Didn't have a great race at Homestead, but I feel like, you also overlook anyone who's not in the championship 4 now at Homestead unless they're running in the top 5. So, really, he just needs to be more consistent. Just stay out of trouble, do what you got to do, even if that means running second, third, or fourth instead of pushing to win. Just do it. And of course, that's a conservative call. If you have the opportunity of win, yeah, go after it. But again, a conservative call. Be more consistent, focus more, and try and learn this new rules package. The number 3 car returns once again to the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series, and Austin Dillon will pilot it, and this will be his 5th season, I believe, 2014 through now, so maybe his 6th season. And so he will pilot the number 3 Dow Chemicals, American Ethanol, Bass Pro Shops, Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 for Richard Childress Racing. Again, no change from 2018. However, that doesn't mean that changes could be made. So, 1 win in 2018. He kicked off the year right, won the Daytona 500 by leading the last lap and the last lap only, after wrecking Eric Almirola on the back straightaway, or really going into turn 3. That was really the highlight of the season. Really didn't have a great season after that. Richard Childress Racing lost a lot of momentum. They didn't have a whole lot of good runs as an organization. Really, Austin Dillon, what he needs to do is he needs to realize, with a rookie teammate, Daniel Hemrick, he needs to step up and be the leader. He needs to help Hemrick out. They need to get... They need to become aware of what they are capable of doing, what needs to be improved on, and what they're not capable of doing at this time, because you cannot just push your 27th place car, and not that they're 27th place cars, but you can't push your 27th place car and finish 5th. You just can't push that hard. You can push your 27th place car and with a little bit of strategy, a little bit of luck, maybe finish 20th, but you're not going to go from a 15th place car to a first place car. So he's really just got to work on that. He also, like Keselowski, he needs to find a little bit more consistency. He was eliminated in the round of 16 for the playoffs last year. And again, just consistency, and the organization at Richard Childress Racing really as a whole needs to find better races. They need to find better equipment, better strategy, and they just need to finish better. They need to run better in the stages. They need to accumulate a better number of points, more points, in order to really say, oh, hey, that team is eligible. That team can compete for a championship. Where they were last year, it didn't surprise me they were eliminated at the round of 16. I think that's really as far as they should have gone, because they didn't perform any better than what some of the people did. To me, the round of 16 seemed like an appropriate place for them to be placed, and I just think, with fresh eyes coming in, someone as good as Daniel Hemrick, he was so good in the Xfinity Series, was never able to close out a win in the Xfinity Series, but, somebody who's as good as that, hopefully bringing some fresh eyes with some more experienced, a more experienced player in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. Hopefully that will combine and be a force to reckon with. I really would like to see them do again. There's a lot of history behind the 3, and now introducing the 8 back into the Monster Energy Cup Series with Daniel Hemrick. A lot of history, especially with the Earnhardts, behind those 2 numbers. So I think a lot of Junior Nation that still watches the sport, that maybe didn't fall elsewhere, they're really hoping to see Richard Childress Racing do good. You want to see that 3 car do good, and because obviously the legacy that Dale Earnhardt left on it. You also want to see the 8 do good because of what Dale Jr. left on it. We are going to move on to Kevin Harvick, the number 4 Jimmy John's Busch Beer Ford Mustang at Stewart-Haas Racing. Again, no change from 2018. 2018, in fact, was a great season for them. There shouldn't be any changes. 8 wins, an overall great season, made the Final Four, finished third in the points, finished third at Homestead. That was really the only problem with their season. Really, if you think about their season, 8 wins on any season is a lot. But if you think about their season, They had the opportunity to win an additional race at Michigan, the first Michigan race that was rained out that Boyer won. They had the opportunity, and really they should have won the playoff race at Dover. Easily they could have had a 10, maybe 12 win season altogether. With the amount of mistakes that they made, though, it cost them maybe 3 or 4 wins. So I think in 2019, really, what they need to focus on is just cleaning up the little mistakes. They can execute. They can close the deal. They can win races. They see the big picture. They see the big picture as winning the races, accumulating the playoff points, getting into the playoffs, and getting to the end. And they were within 2 positions of getting the championship. And in fact, they led quite a bit of that race in the championship battle at Homestead. So really for Harvick, while the big picture is just a matter of getting those 2 positions, help yourself during the regular season and in the playoff stretch. Clean up those small mistakes that may have cost you a few spots here, or a win here, or 1 there, 10 spots. If you can clean up those mistakes, you're going to be much better. And you're going to build on that momentum. And really, if you ask me, Harvick or Busch, really, based on their performances last year, really, Kyle Busch, I would have said, but Harvick too, one of those 2 really should have been the champion, but, I won't argue that. In fact, I'm going to make a case for Logano later when we talk about him, because everybody likes to complain on social media, so I want to just, talk about it. But yeah, so Harvick, just clean up the mistakes. If you can find victory lane 1 or 2 more times, look, dude, you're gonna kick some serious butt next year. So good luck, Harvick. I mean, you got your work cut out for you. Get those 2 spots at Homestead and you're good. The number 6 this year will be driven by Ryan Newman, the number 6 Ford Mustang, sponsored by Oscar Mayer at Roush Fenway Racing. He moves from Richard Childress Racing's number 31 Chevrolet and replaces Trevor Bayne as of now. And of course, this could change, but at the time that I'm recording this, Trevor Bayne does not have a ride. So I don't believe he will get a ride. I have heard that there's some talks he may be driving the 72 car. As far as I'm aware, though, that is just rumor. So Ryan Newman replacing Trevor Bayne. 2018, no wins, missed the playoffs, quite a few DNFs. Really, I would say the highlight of Ryan Newman's season last year was being a part of that awesome Chicagoland finish, because he held up Kyle Busch, and essentially that allowed Kyle Larson to make up enough ground to create an exciting finish like that. If that's the highlight of your season, you did something wrong. You did a lot of things wrong. Ryan Newman, he needs to, over the last few years, he's just not performed good. 2014, he had a good year because of points. But he was consistent, accumulated points. Since his win at Indianapolis in 2013, excluding that day, from the midsummer, since that 2013 day, he has 1 win that came in 2017 at Phoenix. That's it. Those were his last 2 wins. 2013 Indianapolis, 2017 ISM Raceway, the spring race. He is... I'm more surprised that Kurt Busch, it seemed, was having more trouble finding a contract over Ryan Newman. Kurt Busch his talent is much higher. His drive is much higher to stay in the sport. You just don't see that with Ryan Newman. I think in a few years he's probably going to be out, and that'll be that. He hasn't really impressed me all that much over the last few years. 2014, I would say, was definitely an exception because I saw a fight and I saw a drive in him, and ever since then he's just kind of been there. And I hate to say that, but, there's better drivers that could be in that 6 car. I really believe that they might be in the Xfinity Series and they can move up into that 6 car and probably do a little bit better. I mean, you saw how Matt Kenseth ran last year when he was in that 6 car. That's how Roush Fenway Racing needs to be running every week if they seriously want to win races. I mean, Matt Kenseth had so many good runs when he drove in that 6 car. In fact, at Indianapolis he won a stage. I'm pretty sure they finished top 10 in four or five races that Kenseth was in. That was more than Trevor Bayne like the last 2 years, basically. And no, I don't think that's an exaggeration. If you think it's an exaggeration, go ahead in the comments and let me know, because maybe I have my stats wrong. I didn't really get the chance to look at any before today's show, but let me tell you, Ryan Newman, he's maybe got till 2020. I think a lot of guys, by the time 2020 comes around, are going to be out of the sport, and we're going to be seeing a lot of new faces. Ryan Newman is one of those guys who I think is not going to make it past 2020. I really don't. Just doesn't have the performance. He's going to be in a car that we know can perform. It's just a matter of, can he perform? Can his team perform? So 2019, what does he need to do? He needs to improve his own performance for 2019, match Stenhouse. However, for him, I'm going to also throw out a long-term plan and say by the time 2020 comes around, you need to be running top 15 every race. If you're not running top 15, because obviously they have the capability to do that, just go ask Matt Kenseth. If he's not running top 15 by the end of 2020, I mean, he's dead weight. I hate to say that, I really do, because I grew up really admiring Ryan Newman, and I always, when I hear Ryan Newman, I always think about how he put on such a good performance his rookie year, so many poles. But, man, he's in a really long lull. So he's either got it cleaned up or he's got to get out. So there you go. That's pretty cut and simple for you Newman fans. Sorry I just ripped into your driver, but that's the way it is sometimes. All right, we're going to move on to the number 8 car, Daniel Hemrick, that is. Daniel Hemrick driving the number 8 Caterpillar Chevrolet, will be also sponsored by Bass Pro Shops, Cessna, Red Cap, and Liberty National Bank. That Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 fielded by Richard Childress Racing. He moves from the NASCAR Xfinity Series program for Richard Childress Racing, the number 21, and replaces Ryan Newman. However, that 31 that Newman drove was turned into an 8. So now the 3 and the 8 car will be fielded from Richard Childress Racing in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. So obviously 2018 we should start with. The Xfinity Series was a title competitor, really strong, found just a string of awful luck really throughout the playoffs. I mean, he could have won the Roval, he could have won Kansas, There was a few races that he really could have won, and just whatever it was, it kept him out of victory lane. I think, in fact, too, he probably could have won Las Vegas in the Xfinity Series as well, the first playoff. No, that wasn't a playoff, right? But you know what I'm saying. In that last string of races, he had a lot of good runs, and he should have won at least once. He's been driving the Xfinity Series for 2 years, has not accumulated a win. Made the championship 4 in 2017. 2018 came up a little bit short. But the Xfinity Series is behind him. What does he need to do? He needs to learn from that, and then he needs to apply it moving forward in the Cup Series. But learning is what he's going to be doing a lot of this season. I would not encourage that 8 team to go crazy and try and match Austin Dillon's performance. If he can do that, great. That's fantastic. If he can do better than Austin Dillon's performance, that's even better. However, just learn. Don't put yourself in stupid positions where with 3 laps to go, you're 3 wide into the corner of, Dover. Don't do that. Don't be stupid. That's really my only advice that I'm going to give to the rookies this year, is learn about the new package, learn about your teammates, work with your teammates, don't stress winning, improve your driving, learn your car, your team, get used to the Cup Series, And most importantly, be consistent. Don't worry about what other guys are doing around you, okay? You're a rookie. You're not going to win the championship. You're not supposed to win the championship as a rookie, okay? When Dale Earnhardt did it in his sophomore season, I mean, that was amazing. There's a reason why Dale Earnhardt's a legend. You know, don't push. If you have race-winning cars, that's a different story. But especially, I think, with this team, because Richard Childress Racing really has not been on their A game over the past few seasons, don't sweat it. You know, just learn the car, learn with your crew chief, you know, build that chemistry, and, you know, really start to become consistent and make some headway in the second half of the season. Honestly, if you're a rookie and you make the playoffs, even if you get eliminated in the first round, I consider it a good season. We're going to move on now to the number 9 car of Chase Elliott, the number 9 Napa Auto Parts Mountain Dew Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 at Hendrick Motorsports. Hooters also will be on the car, as well as Sun Energy 1, so a lot of familiar faces from past seasons. No change from 2018, and I really want to emphasize Chase Elliott's 2018, because this, I believe, is truly a pivotal time in his career. Comes into the Cup Series in 2016, having come off of a championship and a second place finish in the points in the Xfinity Series. Wins the pole for the Daytona 500. Doesn't win a race. 2017, wins the pole for the Daytona 500. Doesn't win a race. I think between those two seasons, he accumulated 7 or 8 second place finishes. A lot. Comes into 2018 and wins the dual race. Looked really good in Daytona. And there was just a lull. A giant lull that Hendrick Motorsports has fallen into. And it wasn't just in 2018. It really started, if you ask me, in the second half of 2016, after Dale Jr. suffered from that concussion and he was sidelined. Hendrick Motorsports fell into a lull. And not because Dale Jr. got sidelined with a concussion. I think that just happened. It just happened to fall around that time where the performance started to drop. Jeff Gordon and Alex Bowman, those two guys, their cars were good, but for whatever reason, they were having trouble finishing races. They were having trouble, there were always problems with the 88 car throughout 2016. 24, Chase Elliott would have good runs, couldn't find victory lane because he kept making rookie mistakes. Obviously, it was rookie season back then. And then you had Casey Kane was not running good, and Jimmy Johnson wins the 2016 championship. You move into 2017. Jimmy Johnson wins 3 races in the first 11 or 12 races. Doesn't win after that. Casey Kane had a one-off win at Indianapolis because basically everybody in front of him wrecked. Dale Jr. didn't win in 2017. Chase Elliott didn't win in 2017. I mean, huge lull there. However, but in the second half of 2017, I think really that's when I first realized Chase Elliott is performing better than the rest of his teammates. I didn't think necessarily that would quite carry over into 2018. I had a feeling he would win in 2018, but I didn't think he would be that much better than his teammates in 2018. Obviously, between 2017 and 18, a lot of things happened at Hendrick Motorsports. You had Dale Jr. retire. You had Casey Kane move to Levine Family Racing. Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus entered their last year together. The 5 car became the 9 car. Or the 24 became the 9 car, and the 5 car became the new 24 car. And you introduced William Byron and Alex Bowman to the camp. There was a lot of shifting going around. In fact, Darian Grubb also, he became a new crew chief at Hendrick Motorsports. So you had a lot going on at Hendrick in 2018. In addition, Chevrolet switched from the SS, which they'd done relatively well with, to the Camaro ZL1. And I think that really threw a wrench in everything, too. was the switch from the manufacturer. Ran great at speed weeks, an unfortunate early exit at the Daytona 500 when he was caught up in a Stage 2 wreck. But really, just as the season built and went on, you saw in Chase Elliott, he was gonna win. He's gonna do it this year. I don't know when, but he's gonna get a win. Finally, Watkins Glen comes around, and he holds off Martin Truex Jr. in an exciting last lap battle. And from there, 2 more wins coming at Dover and Kansas. And really, I think what he showed me in 2018 was he's capable of winning. He's capable of running consistent. He is capable of winning a championship. And really, in my eyes, that I took that away from almost all of that from the 3rd race. Obviously, he can win. I take that away from Watkins Glen because he won. Running consistent, you take away from the whole half of last season. But really, the he can win a championship part, that's what I took away from Kansas. I didn't take that away from Kansas because it was his 3rd win, though. I took that away from the race at Kansas in the fall because all day he was just a top 10 car. He was not a race-winning car. Kevin Harvick was zipping around that track. I mean, just zipping. Whoosh. However, that 9 team, when they ran 10th place, they said, okay, you know what? Don't run too hard, Chase. Just keep it under you. We'll come back. We'll make improvements. We'll make the car better. Chase Elliott did that. He ran the car how he needed to, stayed in the top 10. They picked up a few positions every pit stop. They made the car better on every pit stop. Until the end, where the car was good enough to compete at such a high level, better than the 10th place that he was running earlier, and he was able to capitalize on the mistakes of others to capture a win. Those are the kinds of drivers, the drivers who find opportunities like that and who can capitalize on that. Those are the types of drivers who get more wins, who are able to win and close championships. Those are the types of drivers that I love watching. And let me tell you, I'm so excited to see what Chase Elliott will do in 2019. I was really hoping, quite honestly, that he was going to make the championship 4. I was hoping that it was going to be the big 3 and him, because I thought that would have been a really fantastic championship fight. Now, not that I'm saying I didn't want Joey Logano in the championship 4. I just think that Chase Elliott was much more in the spotlight through the playoffs. I'll say it that way, because Joey Logano ran good and probably matched Chase Elliott's performance on many occasions, but you just had Chase Elliott more in the spotlight because he led the Hendrick camp, really, is what happened. He led the Hendrick camp in 2018, was the only Hendrick driver in 2018 to get wins, got Hendrick the 250th win as an organization. Really, what Chase Elliott needs to do this season, exactly what he did the second half of 2018. If he does that, hell, he's going to be fine. I mean, if he can close wins like that, I guarantee you Chase Elliott will have probably a 4 to 5 win season. I could see that, having a 4 to 5 win season for Chase Elliott. However, he doesn't need to just worry about himself. He does need to worry about his team. Whether he likes it or not, Jimmy Johnson's no longer the leader of Hendrick Motorsports. Chase Elliott is. He needs to help his team. He needs to help the 48, the 88, and the 24. He needs to help all those guys, help them find consistency, help them find more speed, help them realize, okay, this is how you can drive your car better. He's going to be the leader at Hendrick Motorsports this year. If not, the other guys aren't going to win. Simple as that. It's just going to be Chase Elliott. The rest of the Hendrick guys aren't going to win. Chase Elliott, whether he likes it or not, in just a short time, 3-4 seasons, he is the face of Hendrick Motorsports. Point blank. And he's got to perform. And he's got to, perform with his team. So that's really what I want to see from him. I would like to see him because I think he can win a championship. I would like to see him go far in the playoffs again, but really what he needs to do is help his team. That's what he needs to do. balance between his team and himself. We are going to move on now to the number 10 car of Eric Almirola, the number 10 Smithfield Ford Mustang at Stewart-Haas Racing. Again, no change from 2018, and just one win in 2018. Was close on a few other occasions. He was close at Richmond in the spring. He had a good car, I thought, and at Daytona, obviously, he was leading at the white flag and was leading with half a lap to go, and then Austin Dillon wrecked him. And then obviously found some redemption by winning that race at Talladega in the playoffs, made the round of 8. Definitely a career best season. That's not even a question for him. And I remember saying on the show last year that I did not think that this was the right decision for Stewart-Haas Racing. I didn't think that Almirola was capable of performing. I didn't think that Almirola had been in good equipment. So truthfully, I wasn't quite sure what to think of Almirola, but I do remember saying that he needs to step up and he's got to have a career best season. Otherwise, he's going to be out in a short period of time. He'll be out of Stewart-Haas. Well, he had a career best season. He did exactly what I said he needed to do. And you know what? Good for him, because he proved me wrong. He proved, I think, a lot of people wrong. I really questioned the decision to bring him on board to Stewart-Haas Racing. I did not think it was a smart decision. I thought Stewart-Haas Racing was throwing money out the window because I didn't think Almirola could perform. I was wrong. So Eric Almirola, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I doubted you, and you proved me wrong. Good job. But really what he needs to do in 2019, just stay consistent and improve a little bit. Yeah, the team made a few small mistakes, but for the most part, they were consistent. If you can improve just a little bit every race weekend, I think you'll be a little bit better off in points. Try and win some stages. Maybe capture a second race win over the course of the season. But, Eric Almirola, he, coming off last year, I think any improvement to last year, it makes this upcoming season a good season. So, good job, Almirola. Again, you proved me wrong, and that's not to sound full of myself, but that's not something that a lot of people get to say. So, congratulations, Eric Almirola, on a great season, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in 2019. We're going to move on from somebody who had a career best season to somebody who had a career worst season. Denny Hamlin, the number 11 FedEx Services Toyota Camry at Joe Gibbs Racing. No change from 2018. However, 2018, as I said, a career worst season for the first time in his career, winless during a season. I mean, it wasn't a good year. Something would go wrong, or there would be a little bit of trouble. He wasn't as fast as his teammates were. Really, whatever it was, he was just not as good. And he's not somebody either, that I consider, is really slacking. I just think last year was a bad year. I mean, we've seen it in 2014, and I think it was again in 2016. He made the Final Four of the playoffs. He is a championship contender. And just last year did not have a good season. So what he needs to do, clean up some mistakes, just stay consistent, and just once, he's got to close that deal. He's just got to win one race, and it is already a better season than 2018. I'll keep it at that for Hamlin. And we'll move to Ryan Blaney. Blaney also piloting a Penske Ford, number 12. And again, no change from 2018. He had a good season in 2018. He was able to capture a win, capitalizing on some bad luck from others, was in the right position to do so at the last lap at Charlotte Roval when Jimmy Johnson and Martin Truex Jr. tangled. And he was able to capitalize. Now, he had a number of good runs. He ran good at both of the Bristol races. The first Bristol race, he got knocked out on in an accident. I don't remember what happened to him in August, but had run both very good runs at the Bristol races. Both Kansas races had really good runs. For him, it's just about closing the deal. It wasn't really that he made significant mistakes in those races. I mean, Bristol obviously was a pretty significant race in the spring when he ran up the track and right in the back of somebody, but, just close the deal. If you can close the deal one more time or two more times next year, that'd be really good. Because, let's not forget, he dominated his dual race, and he almost won the Daytona 500. He led a lot of the Daytona 500. In fact, if I'm remembering correctly, I think he led like 95 laps, which is almost half of the event. So that's an impressive run, regardless. So Blaney, close the deal, man. That's all you got to do. Just close that deal, and you're good. I think you can compete on a higher level. You definitely can make the round of 8 again. We're going to move on to the number 14 of Clint Bowyer, the number 14 Rush Truck Centers, peak on Blue Def Ford Mustang at Stewart-Haas Racing. Again, no change from 2018. 2 wins in 2018, one at Martinsville and one at Michigan, both in the first half of the season, was eliminated at the end of the round of 8. He had a good first half of the season, and a lot of people were saying, okay, it's going to be the big 3 and Clint Bowyer. He's going to be the 4th of the big 4. And the second half of the season, after they went back to Daytona, it just seemed like he struggled a little bit more. And then by the time they got into that, the second, third round of the playoffs, he really wasn't in contention all that much anymore. So certainly it's unfortunate. I think he could have had a season last year where he goes to the Final Four. But you know what? I'm glad he was able to get back to victory lane, because he was somebody that a few seasons ago I was kind of saying the same thing that I had said about Almirola last year. Like, I think Stewart-Haas Racing might be just wasting their money on Clint Bowyer. He might be just washed up at this point, not able to move forward with his career anymore. But you know what? He proved me wrong too this year again. This year proves a lot of things wrong that I had said in the past, but especially Clint Bowyer, especially because he was able to capitalize twice. And Martinsville was a good win, but more significantly than that was, I think, Michigan, where on 2 tires he beat Kevin Harvick, who was on 4 tires and the fastest car all day, and was able to beat him on strategy. And that was a really good performance in my eyes. I was really happy with the way that 14 car performed the first half of the season. They had some good runs in the second half of the season, but just not as consistent. So if they can just stay consistent, continuing to improve, maybe close out a 3rd win, I think that 14 team is looking good. Clint Bowyer has revived my faith in him. He's revived it, and I truly think he can advance out of that round of 8 that he was stuck in last year. All right, we're going to move on now. We're going to skip a few numbers. Go no 15 or 16 cars, so the number 17 is up next. Fastenal Ford Fusion, driven by Ricky Stenhouse Jr., or Ford Mustang, I'm sorry, at Roush Fenway Racing. No change from 2018 again, but 2018, no wins, missed the playoffs. Certainly after the 2017 season, I think 2018 was a poor performance, or a more average performance for Stenhouse. Stenhouse has not performed well since he got into the Cup Series. Very few poles, no wins up until a quarter's way through 2017, and then 2017 had a good year, almost made the round of 8 in the playoffs, but just came up short. 2018. I was really thinking that there was a possibility maybe that he won another race, maybe at a plate track, maybe at Bristol. He's really good at Bristol too. And he kind of let me down. I was really kind of thinking, I'd like to see Stenhouse win another race to, see if Roush Fenway Racing really can improve. But unfortunately, he was unable to. Matt Kenseth, in fact, who was only running about half the season, was doing a lot better than Stenhouse, which was, quite honestly, a little disappointing. I was glad to see Kenseth behind the wheel. I was happy to see him run good. And, that showed that, Roush Fenway Racing has the capability to run really good. But that made me disappointed even more with Stenhouse's performance, because that means Stenhouse should be performing better. What do we need from Stenhouse in 2019? Well, he needs to improve his own performance. He needs to collaborate with Ryan Newman. Those are the two biggest things. If he can do those two things, I think overall that will help boost the performance of Roush Fenway Racing. But really, I mean, work with Ryan Newman. He's got loads of experience, and I know I ripped into him, but still, I think, Stenhouse can really be helped by learning what Newman has to offer, and together the two of them can improve the performance at Roush Fenway Racing. Now we're going to go to what I think may have been one of his... it had the opportunity to be his career season last year. And it all fell apart in the last race of the season. Kyle Busch, back behind the wheel of the number 18 M&M's Interstate Batteries Toyota Camry for Joe Gibbs Racing. Again, no changes. 2018. 8 wins, regular season champion, made the championship 4. Hands down the most consistent, the best car all year. Didn't make the amount of mistakes Harvick made. Harvick could have won more races because he made mistakes. Kyle Busch very rarely made a mistake this season. The only mistakes that I can tell you I remember from Kyle Busch's 2018 season were the mistakes he made at Homestead, Miami. Truthfully, I think Kyle Busch would have been the most deserving champion last year. I mean, it wasn't like he had a bad race. He finished 4th. That's not a bad race. A 4th place finish is a good race. It's a good points day. But all things considered, the way he ran throughout the day at Homestead was not good. Coming off that 8th win at ISM a week before Homestead, I was really expecting him to be a player. They struggled all weekend. And if you're going to have one weekend all year that you're going to not want to struggle at, it's that one. All year, he performed so good. And I really was saying, there was a lot of talk about Logano and Truex, who ended up being 1-2. I was saying, I think really it's going to be Harvick or Kyle Busch. And I really thought those two were the most two deserving, and I thought Kyle Busch was the most deserving because his consistent performance, stage points, this, that, altogether, I think the 18 team was the best team the last year. But man, they just choked in that last race. So I'm going to leave it real simple for Kyle Busch. Do everything you did last year except for the last race. What you did the first 35 races of last year, do that for the last race too. Get those 3 positions, man. That's all you can do to improve your season. I really don't know how you could have improved Kyle Busch's season last year. Just don't finish 4th in the points. Finish 3rd, 2nd, or 1st. That's it. New to the Joe Gibbs Racing stable is Martin Truex Jr., who's going to pilot the number 19 Bass Pro Shops Toyota Camry. He moves from the 78 Furniture Row Racing Toyota, replacing Daniel Suarez. In 2017, he was the series champion. Last year, he was a championship runner-up with 4 wins. This year, I mean, he's clearly in winning equipment. He's with his crew chief from last year, Cole Pern, from the last few years, Cole Pern. Sponsor comes over there. So, a lot's going to be familiar to that team, but a lot of it's going to be different as well. Work with your teammates, and, honestly, he'll be good. That's it. I have full faith that Martin Truex Jr. this year is going to have another good season. I think he's going to bring the 19 car back to victory lane for the first time since 2016 when Edwards drove the car. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I truly believe that. I think Martin Truex Jr. probably can have a season very equal to what Kyle Busch had last year, or even to what he had 2 years ago when he won the championship. But just, clean up. There was a few small mistakes last season. I mean, and when I say small mistakes, I don't even remember them. I just remember he made mistakes. Just clean up those little small mistakes, be consistent, and capture wins. Close the deal. You're in equipment that's capable of doing that. You're around people who are capable of doing that. No excuse why you shouldn't be able to. The last car out of the Joe Gibbs Racing stable is the number 20 of Eric Jones. The DeWalt Camry will return this season at Joe Gibbs Racing. No change again from 2018. He was able to get his first career win at Daytona International Speedway, and he made the playoffs. And really, I'll tell you, I was disappointed by his performance in the playoffs because the second half of the season, almost from Daytona to Indianapolis, he was one of the best cars. I believe he accumulated the highest amount of points of any driver in the series from that time, from the second Daytona race to the race at Indianapolis, the cutoff race for the playoffs. And he was eliminated in the first round. I was really disappointed. I thought there was so much more that he could have offered. And that's what I want to see out of him in 2019. I want him to, I want to see those good pushes, those consistent performances, top 5, top 10, and close the deal more. Dude, if you can do that, you could have an all Joe Gibbs Final Four this year. I truly believe that. I truly believe Joe Gibbs Racing could have an all Final Four. I said that about Stewart-Haas Racing last year. I didn't necessarily believe it as much as I believe the Joe Gibbs guys can do it, but it's possible. I believe they're good enough to do that. They have the right equipment, they have the right drivers and the pair-ups, and I think they really have the ability to do that. We're going to move on now to the number 21. That's Paul Menard in the Menard's Ford Motorcraft Ford Mustang for the Wood Brothers. No change from 2018, although the unfortunate loss just a few weeks ago of Glenn Wood, and I want to extend my condolences and my prayers out to the Wood family. When I was at Charlotte in 2018 for the 600, I had the opportunity to meet a lot of people who work at the Wood Brothers, and that included Leonard Wood and Glenn Wood themselves. And it was really just such an honor to be able to meet them and talk to them. And that's certainly going to be one of the most memorable experiences, even just something as small as human interaction with them, that I really learned from and cherish and hold close. And, I'm happy I got to meet him and, talk to him. Even if I wasn't a part of his life for more than 5 minutes, I'm glad that I got to have that interaction with him, and I'm glad I'm old enough to understand the legacy that the Wood Brothers have left on this sport before he left us. So certainly, again, my condolences, my prayers out to the Wood Brothers, and I hope they can perform well this season for him, and I hope they run a nice Darlington throwback dedicated to him. 2018, no wins. Good the first half of the year. Paul Menard had a few top 10 runs the first half of the season that he was able to put together. He was quiet and consistent. Not as good the second half of the season. Just kind of there, but they didn't run bad. That's the important part. They didn't run great, but they did not run bad. They had a good season. For them it's a little harder because I feel like they've kind of been pretty even from season to season, where there hasn't been much of a gain or a drop-off with the Wood Brothers from season to season, with the exception maybe of 2017. They had a really good year with Ryan Blaney. But, if they can find a little bit more, if they can make a little bit more noise, Go for it. Good for them. Moving on now, the number 22 of Joey Logano, the number 22 Shell Pennzoil Ford Mustang at Team Penske, defending series champion, so no changes there. 3 wins last year. He won at Talladega in the spring, Martinsville in the fall. That locked him into Miami, and then, of course, won the race at Miami to win the championship. Really, if you won the championship, you did something right. So I'm not really going to critique him. I could say that he should run better in 2019 throughout the course of the season. He ran really good and really consistent throughout the playoffs, and just for whatever reason was not talked about all that much until the last few races. But he had a good playoff run. especially when you think about it. And if he can just be more consistent, maybe accumulate some more stage points throughout the course of the season, it's really all you can ask. Go win a second championship. And of course, though, it'll be a little bit harder introducing the Ford Mustang because it's a new body, new package. It'll be a little bit harder, but there's nothing in my mind that makes me doubt that he can't do it again. All right, the number 24 of William Byron is up next. The Axalta Liberty University Hertz Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 at Hendrick Motorsports. He has a pretty big change from 2018. And in 2018, that Darian Grubb was his crew chief. This upcoming season, his crew chief is Chad Knaus. Chad Knaus has been with Jimmy Johnson since 2002, his rookie season. They've won all 7 championships together, all 83 races together. Everything that Jimmy Johnson has to his name, Chad has that to his name as well. This is the first time that they will be split up since Jimmy Johnson has started driving. I mean, it's going to be... Really, I expect good things. I expect them to take the first half of the season slow, build chemistry, and pounce on the competition the second half of the season. When I say pounce, though, I think they're going to win a championship. I don't mean I expect them to kick everybody's butts and just dominate and be this nasty team that just kicks butt every week. But I expect them, to be a winning combination. I really do. I think Chad Knaus and William Byron together can win races. As far as, comparing from last year, no wins Rookie of the Year for 2018 for William Byron, but a lot of DNFs, a lot of accidents. Not all of them were his fault, but if he can clean up on that, just stay in the race, learn a bit more, learn with Chad Knaus, and, get to victory lane the second half of the season, go for it. That's all I can encourage. All right, moving on now to the number 32 of Corey LaJoie. The number 32 Can-Am Ford Mustang at Go Fast Racing moves from the number 72 car to replace Matt DiBenedetto. Truthfully, he was one of the drivers that I didn't, I'm not really considering a threat to win races or anything, but you know what? He's in a new ride. He's going to be in every race. That team's chartered, so he's going to be a part of the picture some way, somehow. Again, they're not a race-winning team. They're not a championship contending team, but Corey LaJoie, he's made some strides with the moves that he's made from team to team over the past few seasons, and I think this is probably the best team that he's been with. And he could definitely make some good performances out of this. So, Corey LaJoie, good luck. We'll leave it at that. The number 34 next, Michael McDowell. The number 34 Loves Travel Stops Mustang at Front Row Motorsports. No change from 2018. Again, 2018 mediocre year. Really, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to package these next few guys together. The 34 of Michael McDowell, the 36 of Matt Tifft, and the 38 of David Reagan. As I said, just mediocre years for Michael McDowell and David Reagan in 2018. For Matt Tifft, he's now in the 36 Ford Mustang. This is a brand new car for Front Row Motorsports. He's moving from the number 2 Xfinity Series Chevrolet at Richard Childress Racing. So it's a brand new car for 2019 with a new team and a new series. He was a playoff competitor in the series, and never know if that might correlate over, but really these three guys, they're not with a race-winning team. And I emphasized this before. You're not just going to take a 20th place car and finish first. You're not going to do that unless you're at Talladega or Daytona. Other than that, you're not going to do it. So don't try it. Not unless you get a little bit lucky and your name's Chris Buescher and you maybe catch some rain and during a pit strategy. But whatever. These three guys really all need to do the same thing. They need to work with each other, learn the package, and just steadily improve. That's all they can do. I don't believe that they're going to win a race off of a restrictor plate track next year. So with that, don't push too hard. And I'm actually going to package 2 more guys together, and those would be the JTG Daugherty cars of Chris Buescher and Ryan Preece. Buescher will be in the number 37 car. He had a mediocre year, although he had a number of good runs. Daytona in February, he had a really good run. There was a race in the playoffs that he finished top 10 that I can't remember. Pretty good restrictor plate racer. Not half bad, just not in great equipment. For the number 47, Ryan Preece, he's a rookie. He was only running part-time in the Xfinity Series and winning races in the number 18 Gibbs Toyota. He's going to replace A.J. Allmendinger in this number 47 car, running for Rookie of the Year full-time. And just in 2019, these guys just got to, again, learn the new package. Don't push too hard. Don't wreck. Bond with each other. Learn from each other. And see if you can improve the team's performances as a whole. Because these guys really, 32, 34, 36, 7, 38, and the 47, they're not race-winning teams from week to week. They run good at restrictor plate tracks, that's it. So, no reason to push it and act like they're going to win a race off a restrictor plate track. All right, moving on, the number 40 of Jamie McMurray. Now, this is just a one-off deal, really. 2 off, if you want to be technical. The number 40 McDonald Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 at Chip Ganassi Racing. Just a number change, goes from the number 1. And again, this is a one-off deal with Chip Ganassi Racing. He's going to broadcast with Fox Sports during the pre-race shows for NASCAR following this. Found a lot of trouble in 2018, missed the playoffs, but I'm not even going to focus on 2018 for him because really, he's got one goal in 2019. You're racing the Clash and you're racing the Daytona 500. Just win. I don't care what you do, quite honestly. Just win the races because you're not fighting for a championship. There's no need to be conservative. Just go. Go for it. You get in a wreck, you get in a wreck. Big deal. It's for him, there's nothing to lose. Nothing. Not a single thing. Everything to gain. So, Jamie McMurray, go out there, have fun, good luck. The number 41 is Daniel Suarez starting in 2019. The number 41 Haas Automation car also welcomes Aris Modems to their Ford Mustang at Stewart Haas Racing. He moves from the 19 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota Camry and replaces Kurt Busch. 2018, 0 wins. He said he'd make the playoffs, talked big about it, and wasn't able to execute. It was an okay season, not great. What does he have to do in 2019? Well, he has to keep up. Here's the thing. He is in the same position. I'm going to say the same thing about Suarez that I did about Almirola in 2018. You were with a team that is capable of winning races, that is capable of winning championships. You have nowhere to hide now. There's no excuse. You need to perform or you need to go. There's no reason you can't perform in that 41 car after what Kurt Busch has done last year. No reason you can't perform in that 41 car after what your teammates did last year. I don't necessarily expect him to win. I expect him to run top 10 week in, week out. No exception. If he has a season like he's run at Joe Gibbs Racing, he's going to be out of Stewart Haas Racing in 2 years or less. Moving on to the number 42, Kyle Larson, the 42 Credit One Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 at Chip Ganassi Racing. No changes from 2018. Of course, the loss of sponsorship with DC Solar, not necessarily his fault. It's not his fault. It's not the team's fault either. The CEO of DC Solar's house was raided, and I believe he was taken into custody by the FBI. I'm not quite sure what is currently going on with that, but that was the last time I checked in with it. So, again, good season in 2018. He had so much potential to get so far in the playoffs and just kept finding trouble. A lot of it wasn't even his fault. I mean, think about it. Bristol, the first Bristol race, could have won, was leading with 5 laps to go, gets bumped out of the way by Kyle Busch. Kansas, dominated the race. No reason he should have lost. Gets caught up in a wreck with Ryan Blaney fighting for the lead. Chicagoland, such a good car, was running the outside so perfectly, had, passed Kyle Busch on the last lap. Kyle Busch hits him and basically all but spins him, finishes second. Homestead wins the first 2 stages, has the best car through the first 2 stages, beating the championship contenders. Or I'm sorry, maybe he lost. I think Harvick might have won stage 1 and Larson won stage 2. But okay, but I mean, you see what I'm saying? He had opportunity after opportunity to perform well, to win. Let's not forget the Roval. He was doing really good at the Roval until that restart came around and he wrecked. I mean, he had so many chances in 2018. He really did. If he won those 5 races, I really think he would have been in the Final 4 with the big 3 from last year. I really think he would have been the 4th of the cars. Man, he's got those mistakes, a lot of them are not even his fault. So what you can clean up, clean up. Other than that, really, you just got to find that last bit to close the deal and hope that you have better luck. I mean, I know that's something that's completely out of your control, luck, but, it's like he could have won a lot of races last year, and he didn't, in particular, do anything that was really stupid that you can point out and say, oh, he lost the race because of that, So, hopefully, I hope to see him perform better than he did last year. The number 43 will be piloted once again by Darrell Wallace Jr., the number 43 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 at Chip Ganassi Racing. Again, no changes from 2018. He had an okay season in 18. Obviously, a rookie in the Cup Series, was fighting for Rookie of the Year. Good start, second place finish in the Daytona 500. Led laps at Bristol, and didn't do that on pit strategy. I remember because I was at that race, and I said, damn, he just took the lead. And he just took it. Not, somebody got out of the groove and he took it. No, he took the lead. So really, what can he do in 2019? Be more consistent, find more top 10s, and if you can, close out on that win. Bubba's a really good restrictor plate racer. Close out the deal, man. The number 48 of Jimmy Johnson is who we're going to get to next. The number 48 Ally Financial Chevy Camaro ZL1 at Hendrick Motorsports. This is a new era for the 48 team, for Jimmy Johnson. It's the first time in his career his sponsor is not Lowe's. It's the first time in his career he's not working with the crew chief named Chad Knaus. I mean, those 2 things alone, as silly as it may sound, those are some of the biggest changes you can have in NASCAR, your sponsor and your crew chief, because there's a lot of chemistry that goes on within your crew chief. Now, I believe contract-wise, he goes through 2020. He's going to retire at the end of 2020. I don't care how well he performs the next 2 years or how bad he performs the next 2 years. He's done after 2020. I really can't see him going past 2020. Once that season's over, I think he's retired. New crew chief Kevin Mandarin has worked very closely with Elliott Sadler over the past few years. They've always been in championship contention, but it'll be really interesting to see. I'm not really going to make any predictions for them. All I'm going to say is work with Kevin, work with your teammates, learn from them, get back to victory lane. 2018, the first time in Johnson's career that he's gone winless. He's been driving since 2002, and on average gets between 4 and 6 wins per year. And you just had a season where you didn't win a single race. That is unreal. I mean, whenever you think about him, you're never going to remember 2018 because, think about when he retires, first round Hall of Famer. You're going to think about 5 championships in a row, and then wins another 2 championships after that. Was the first rookie in the NASCAR Cup Series to lead the points. In their rookie year, they were literally talking about winning a championship because he was that good in his rookie season. 2002, 3, and 4, he had legitimate championship hopes and shots, and he couldn't capitalize. 2005, not as good of a season. Then 2006 came around. Starting 2006 through 2010, you couldn't beat him. I mean, look at it. And then, even 2016 was a good year for him. And then you consider the second half of 2017, this whole 2018 season, just from even the start of the Clash, I mean, he wrecked in every race in Speed Weeks. In Daytona, I mean, man, if it had it been the 34 car, Michael, a front row motorsports car, I wouldn't be saying it's a bad season. But this is Jimmy Johnson we're talking about. This is a guy who won 10 races in 2007, I believe it was. 10 races, won 5 championships in a row. This guy is a living legend, and everybody knows him. Just dismal for the 48 car. So again, work with Kevin Meenderen. Work with your teammates, learn from them, learn the new package, win. Just win one race. If you want to win more than one race, if you can win more than one race, that's great. Win a race, one race. That's my goal for Jimmy Johnson. Just win one race. We'll move on to the last of the Hendrick cars, his Hendrick teammate in the number 88 Nationwide Insurance Axalta Coating System Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. Alex Bowman, again, no changes from 2018. He'll continue to work with Greg Ives. No wins in 2018. He was eliminated in the round of 12 of the playoffs. He had a few good runs. He had a few bad runs. Overall, it was an average season. I wouldn't say it was an awful season, but still, plenty to improve on. He was involved in a few accidents. Don't be involved in those accidents in 2018 or 2019. Be consistent. Work with your teammates. Find more speed, and I would like to see them get back to victory lane. I think they're not a championship team. They're not a championship contender, but if you can get back to victory lane, good. That's a start. That's a step in the right direction. Matt DiBenedetto will be the last driver we go over. He's going to pilot the number 95 Procore Toyota Camry this year at Levine Family Racing. He moves from the number 32 Go Fast Racing Ford, replaces Casey Kane, who unfortunately, health-wise, was not doing very good at the end of last season. And in 2018, he didn't perform. There was nothing spectacular about his season, but he had a few good runs. So what do you do in 2019? Well, I believe he's with a team that is better than what he's ever run in his career before. You're with a team now that is affiliated with Joe Gibbs Racing. After a few months of learning this with this team, I really do think he will be able to perform. I think, you give it a few weeks to really settle in, simmer down, and get used to everything that's going on with Toyota, the 95, the new package. I think we're going to see some good stuff out of Matt DiBenedetto. I really, really do. So we're done going over the drivers. I believe we just covered 31 or 32 of them, so that's a lot. We're going to start now with the Monster Energy Cup Series package for 2019. It's quite a bit different. So there's going to be different packages in 2019. They're going to be tailored to specific tracks on the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series schedule. So it's a combination of a tapered spacer to reduce engine horsepower. It's going to be around 550 as opposed to the 750 they had in 2018. They're cutting those big holes into the noses again, those aero ducts. That's going to help slow the cars down more because you're going to have these big giant holes that air is going to flow through. It's going to create bigger wakes behind the car for cars to draft up to you a lot easier. I don't believe that's on every track. I believe that is on almost every track. However, that is longer than 1 mile. I know that for a fact. It's not on every track, but most tracks longer than 1 mile. They will not run the tapered spacer in the 2019 Daytona 500. I believe actually all of Speed Weeks are not going to run the tapered spacer. That will debut following week at Atlanta, and then the first the first super speedway race that, or as we would say, the first restrictor plate track that would have that will be at Talladega, although because they're using the tapered spacer, will not actually feature a restrictor plate. So the spoiler goes from a little tiny, stubby, short 2.375 by 61 inch spoiler to a tall 8 inch by 61 inch spoiler. The tapered spacer, as I said, is either 1.17 inches or 0.922 inches. That is dependent on the track, depending on the length of the track or the specifics of the track. That will change throughout the course of the year. That will reduce the horsepower from the 750 to the about 550 in the new cars. The radiator pan is being expanded once again to 37 inches wide in the front, but by the time you reach the back, that will have tapered down to 31 inches. The splitter, last year there was a very short and small splitter. This year it's going to be more like the 2014 splitter, a 2-inch overhang in the front. The aero ducts again, or the brake block-offs, the brake ducts, that will depend on the track. The brake ducts, obviously, that will be at the short tracks, help cool the brakes. The aero ducts will be on most tracks longer than a mile. You know, it's a lot of aerodynamic work is really what's happening. It's a lot of aerodynamic as opposed to mechanical, not a whole lot of mechanical stuff, but it will create much tighter racing. So 2019, we're going to go through the Monster Energy Cup Series schedule, have a few news headlines, and then we'll wrap it up. So the 2019 Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series schedule, the Advanced Auto Parts Clash is Sunday, February 10th, so about a week from now. 3 p.m. Daytona International Speedway. That will be on Fox Sports 1 and MRN. And you can also get the Fox Sports Go app for any of the races that are on Fox or Fox Sports 1. And the Clash, by the way, Daytona 500 qualifying will be immediately before the Advanced Auto Parts Clash. So Sunday, February 10th, you can sit down and really watch your first dose of NASCAR of the season. Then you'll get hyped up for the Thursday night duels, the Daytona Can-Am duels. The first duel is at 7 p.m., and the second duel is at 9 p.m. And again, those are both on Fox Sports 1, MRN, and the Fox Sports Go app. That's Thursday, February 14th. Sunday, February 17th is the big day, the first race of the season, the Daytona 500. 2:30 p.m. at Daytona. Fox, MRN will be broadcasting the race. From Atlanta Motor Speedway the following week on Sunday, February 24th, the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500. That's at 2 p.m. on Fox and PRM. And then from there you have Las Vegas, ISM Raceway, Auto Club, Martinsville, Texas, Bristol, Richmond, Talladega, Dover, Kansas. And then you'll have your All-Star Week. You'll have the Monster Energy Open and the All-Star Race on May 18th. Memorial Day weekend, the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte, Pocono Raceway following that, Michigan, nice summer week off. They'll return to Sonoma on June 23rd. Chicagoland Speedway will kick off the NBC team coverage, so that's NBC Sports app, NBCSports.com, NBCSN, all of those good places. Chicagoland Speedway on Sunday, June 30th. Saturday, July 6th at Daytona International Speedway. Kentucky, New Hampshire, Pocono yet again. Watkins Glen, Michigan for the second time. Bristol for the second time on Saturday, August 17th. Then you'll have the Bojangles Southern 500 at Darlington on September 1st at Darlington. The following week, the last race of the regular season coming at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Big Machine Vodka 400 at the Brickyard. That is Sunday, September 8th. And then you move into the first round of the playoffs. That will kick off at Las Vegas on Sunday, September 15th. Richmond will be the second race of the first round. That's Saturday, September 21st. It's a night race. and the Bank of America Roval 400 on Sunday, September 29th to end the first round. 16 will start and 12 will move into the second round. The second round consists of Dover, Talladega, and Kansas. From there, 8 will move on to face Martinsville, Texas, and ISM, and 4 will go on, enter as eligible for the Ford EcoBoost 400 for the championship at Homestead Miami Speedway on Sunday, November 17th. Only 1 will be victorious. So we've had a lot of exciting headlines over the season. You guys may have heard a few weeks ago about the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. I think it's been talked about for a long time that we've been trying to get racing back over there, and it looks like it may be coming in the near future. The Bristol Motor Speedway, they struck a deal over there, and they're going to try and get NASCAR racing back there. It might be a few years before we see any of the real big national divisions get over there, but I would assume you could probably see the trucks over there first, and then maybe the Xfinity, and maybe, 4 or 5 years down the line from now, we'll get back to the Cup Series racing over there. As far as the other tracks go, Rockingham has also been in talks. It's under new management. Over the holiday season, it was posted to Twitter a picture of the back straightaway. It's all de-weeded. All of the weeds have been taken up and out of the track. It's highly speculated that they're going to end up repaving the track, and that we may see some NASCAR racing back there. Now, the last NASCAR race was actually, I believe, in 2011 or 2012 at Rockingham, and it was a truck race. However, I would like to see the Cup cars get back over there, because we know we're capable of running over there, and I think that would be a lot of fun to watch. So, 2 tracks may be coming in the future. If you've been following the announcement from YouTrue Motorsports, pretty exciting for if you're part of Junior Nation. So they, very similar to the way that Hendrick Motorsports had a huge overhaul in 2018, Junior Motorsports is getting a similar overhaul in 2019. Michael Annett will move from the number 5 to the number 1 car, staying at Junior Motorsports. Justin Allgaier will stay with the number 7 car at Junior Motorsports. The 9 car will be Noah Gragson. He moves from the Truck Series to the number 9. And Junior Motorsports has also acquired the rights to use the number 8 in the series, and I believe that car will be running full-time. It'll be a shared ride between drivers like Spencer Gallagher. Ryan Preece has 4 races in there. Zane Smith, who is an ARCA driver, will drive in that car. And also, if you follow Dale Jr. on social media, it's just about confirmed that Dale Jr. is going to run a throwback in the number 8 at Darlington for the Xfinity Series. Now, if you're a Junior fan, don't take this and go run off and buy your tickets, because it's not actually confirmed. But it's been made very clear that at least that was a thought. So early, almost immediately after running the Richmond race last year, Dale Jr. posted a kind of like the side door of a race car, and it had a retro-looking number 8, one that Dale, his father, actually sported for a few races. It was a blue and yellow number 8 car, and Dale Jr. posted a teaser with the same font, number 8, a very similar paint scheme, the side of a car, posted it to his Twitter and said, "Just a thought," or something like that. And, that kind of teased like, is Dale Jr. going to get, the number 8 car back? Well, he made the announcement that he got the number 8 back, and then at the end of the announcement video, it warped from the Junior Motorsports new font of 8 to that same font 8 that his father drove, and that the same font 8 that Junior, the picture, had come out after the Richmond race. It was the same 8 font as that. Following the announcement, Dale Jr. went further and posted a video to Twitter tagging BJ McLeod and BJ McLeod Motorsports, explaining how they got the number 8 car. So what happened was they wanted to run the 8 in a one-off race at Darlington for Dale Jr. in a throwback paint scheme. That being said, it's a pretty safe assumption at that point to say, okay, Junior's running Darlington. And then they ended up getting the rights for the full season, thanks to BJ McLeod and BJ McLeod Motorsports. So if you're a Dale Jr. fan, make sure you go thank BJ McLeod. But, but between everything he said and what's been put out there, it's pretty clear cut that at least the preliminary plan is that Dale Jr. wants to run the number 8 car at Darlington in throwback Hellman's paint scheme, throwback to the number 8 that his dad drove. And since you're watching it on YouTube, I'll try and throw a picture up here if I can find one once I'm done recording. But, nevertheless, it's just, it's good to still see the name involved in the sport. And obviously, Jeffrey Earnhardt is going to be very involved in the sport this year because he's going to be driving the number 18 in the Xfinity Series for a few races. In fact, not too many weeks from now, when we head to Daytona for the first race weekend of the season, Jeffrey Earnhardt's going to drive the number 18, and so that will be really exciting. But still, it's good for the older fan base to see the names that they can still connect with. That being said, with this whole older fan base, that's going to transition to me into a segment where I just basically sound off. We're going to hit 2 topics today. We're going to hit Joey Logano as the 2018 champion, and we're going to hit NASCAR tailoring to its fan base. So here's the thing. I go on social media, and I don't really post a whole lot on social media, but I like seeing what other people are saying. I like to read through comments of tweets and whatnot, and seeing other tweets, and I like to read through them, see what's going on, see how people are feeling about some of the things that NASCAR is doing. So, unfortunately, lately, there's been a lot of complaining. I'm so sick of it. So if you're listening to this show, just hear me out. Alright? For the people who said that Joey Logano shouldn't have won the championship, you need to go back and you need to look at where he finished for the playoffs. Many of the playoff races, he finished better than the big 3. All of them. Obviously, you had Kyle Busch won 2 races in the playoffs. But still, other than those 2 races, Logano was very consistent, almost always top 10, often running better than the big 3. There's no reason he shouldn't have been champion. There's no reason he couldn't have been champion. And, I said it myself. I believe that Kyle Busch would have made a better champion. However, I'm not complaining about it. If you're a NASCAR fan, Joey Logano is your champion. I don't want to see that stuff on Twitter. Joey Logano is not my champion. Like, he clearly is. He won the championship. Are you a NASCAR fan or not? It's just the day and era that we live in. It's the points format. It's different. And fans need to be accepting of that. And that kind of ties into my next little rant, which really I'm hoping people can learn from, is that, NASCAR can't satisfy everybody. They need to do what's best for them. And if that means creating stage racing and having all these close racing because younger generations just tend to not be able to pay attention to long car races for as long as possible. So if you need to warp the aero package to get everybody to stay side by side during the entire race, do it, because the future of the sport depends on it. And that's another thing that bothers me. I hate going online and seeing all these negative comments like, oh, this new package is stupid and we shouldn't run it. Give it a chance, man. Just let it go through a few races. Don't count Daytona. Don't count the Daytona 500. But let it, give it like 7 or 8 races and then see how you like it. If you want to complain about it after 7 or 8 races, so long as it's justified, I'm more willing to listen. Most people have only seen the All-Star race with this package, and they automatically just said no. And for no good reason. The All-Star race was a great All-Star race. The right person won. Cars were running side by side the entire time. Cars were competitive. It was a fantastic race. So I don't want to hear that you won't let this package. You're gonna make this package be the reason you're not gonna watch NASCAR racing anymore. That's dumb. Okay. Give the package a chance. Give the drivers a chance to get acclimated to the package, and we could be seeing some great racing. Until then, don't complain. Those are going to be my little rants for this week, and hopefully I won't have too many more of them. But it may become a thing where I turn into Jimmy Spencer for a few minutes every week and give you a little bit of rant, give you hopefully a little bit of a different perspective on some of the things going on in NASCAR. But hey, I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. That's all we've got this week. And when I say that's all we've got, I mean we've hit quite a bit. We're almost an hour and a half into the show. So hey, if you liked it, like the video, leave us some comments if there's something I might have missed out on, if I got some information wrong, or if there's something else that you want to hear, let me know and I'll try and work it into some of my other shows. We're going to have a lot of awesome content for you on NASCAR Nation. Like I said, we're going to have some video games we're going to show you on YouTube. We're going to have some merchandise reviews. I'm actually getting ready to do a few of those now. And we're going to have just a lot more. It's going to be a lot more fun. So be sure to subscribe. You can turn on your notifications if you've got the mobile app for YouTube. Turn on your notifications, subscribe to us. And again, you can follow me on Twitter. That'll all be at the end of the show. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching or for listening to the first episode of NASCAR Nation on YouTrue Sports. It's so much fun to do this. I have such a passion for racing, and I'm really excited for the season. And I'm really excited that I get to share it with you guys in a new light. So again, thank you everybody so much for listening, and be sure to listen back in soon for more NASCAR Nation. This is Joe Passero. Thank you everybody once again. I'm out for YouTrue Sports and NASCAR Nation.